Well, during testimony this week, Trump administration officials said fentanyl is America's top national security threat, not Iran, not Houthi rebels hiding in apartment complexes, but fentanyl brought across the United States border through Mexican drug cartels, of course, facilitated out of China. And here's what Tulsi Gabbard had to say about it. Cartels were largely responsible for the deaths of more than 54,000 U.S. citizens from synthetic opioids during the 12-month period that ended in October of 2024, just before the election. And so how can we stop this? And those numbers might even seem kind of low if you actually include all of those fentanyl-related overdoses in this. So how can this be stopped? Well, J.C. Shepherd has really dedicated his life to trying to stop this. He's the founder of the fentanyl test, which is really one of the only over-the-counter tests that you can give your children to actually see if they're involved in this horrible drug or not. And JC joins us now. Welcome to the show. Great to have you here.
Thank you so much, Clayton. I really appreciate it.
First, your response to seeing Tulsi Gabbard, the Director of National Intelligence, during this hearing this week, say that fentanyl is America's #1 threat. Did you agree with that?
Oh, 100%. I mean, it's music to our ears, first and foremost, because our goal with the fentanyl test is to pretty much go out of business. We want this drug gone. This is basically just to save Americans. And, I love how you said that number might seem low in terms of the 54,000, because I think one of the only individuals on earth that's saying it correctly is Donald Trump, because I think most people have been in an inner city environment to where you see how this has decimated the homeless. I mean, those people are never being autopsied. So you can add at least 150,000 to that number.
Wow. Oh, I have never heard that. That makes perfect sense. And I just got chills thinking about that. I haven't heard anyone talking about that. So these homeless, no one's footing the bill for these autopsies, and they're just dying on the streets. I mean, you see the videos driving down Kensington Avenue in Philadelphia, and it looks horrible. I mean, my home city, just seeing it looks like zombies. It looks like something out of a horror film. These people just dying on the streets of fentanyl overdoses.
Yes, so I've talked to some Philadelphia executives. By the way, we're headquartered in Pittsburgh, PA, so we're from the same state. But it's unbelievable that the way that we approached this was, hey, we're trying to save lives, and they know that. I mean, not Philadelphia. Whether you're liberal or liberal or conservative, they're not saying that they want people to die from this. So we think we should probably state that, but they basically said we can do nothing for Kensington. We can do nothing to help because these people want that drug. They seek it out. It's one of the only places on earth, maybe Philadelphia, Kensington, of course, some parts of San Francisco, some parts of Los Angeles, and Baltimore. That is really the only people on earth that are actually genuinely overdosing because they're seeking out that drug. Everybody else, and you'll always see in the mainstream media that it's always an overdose. That's not the case. About 87% of people that are dying from fentanyl are poisonings because they don't know it is in the substance they are using. So it's very rare for individuals to actually, and Kensington is just, that's a whole different ballgame, Clayton, as you know. I mean, it's a drug called Tranq, which is fentanyl and xylazine mixed together, and it's undeniably deadly. It also rots your skin, your appearance. It's necrosis for your skin. So, but when the Philadelphia government stated that you can't help, there's nothing you can do because they will still find their drug. They will not test anything. They want that drug. So it's insanely depressing.
So you said a couple of things there that I've never heard of before. So I think this is important for our audience to learn. So that is a unique situation, what we're seeing in Philadelphia. And I'm sure that makes all the videos, that goes viral, of course, right? The zombies looking in Philadelphia. Sure. You said something else, that it's not really about the overdoses, it's about the poisoning. So if you've got a family watching this right now and they've got young children, like what do they need to be paying attention to in terms of fentanyl poisoning?
Well, fentanyl poisoning, I'll just talk about it from a test basis, if that's okay.
Sure.
We designed our tests for law enforcement, so they could test something, on the side of the road. They can test, any substances when they pull somebody over, right there on the spot without throwing that substance in water. So we wanted to design a test that was non-dilution based, that can test any surface or substance, including liquids. to make sure that that individual who's about to use a substance, or a police officer that's about to be contaminated with something like this, they don't have to throw that substance in water or dilute it or destroy it in any way, shape, or form. So what you're seeing first and foremost in the media, we're losing 22 children a week. And when I say children, we're talking about children under 14 years of age. Those children are not overdosing. Most of the time, it's the first time they're trying a pill, or potentially trying a different substance. Even smoking marijuana and vape liquid now isn't safe. So that's what we wanted to do first and foremost, is come up with a test to where if a parent finds a substance, or a law enforcement officer or a drug user themselves wants to test something because they don't want to die, now they have that ability to do that without destroying that substance fully. We also have the over-the-counter test for individuals, parents, loved ones that want to test their children at home. If something is not right, symptoms-wise, you can look at pinprick pupils, obviously, slurred words, trouble breathing, even if you're getting close to actually, being poisoned. But this is something it's so prevalent in children now because, one, health teachers aren't teaching anything. They're teaching about 714 genders rather than staying away from substances that can hurt you and kill you. And realistically, it's something that needs to be taught on that level, and parents need to actually be aware of it. And it's not happening right now. I mean, we've seen some school curriculum that they're not testing drugs anymore. Clayton, I'm in my 40s, and I'm sure you remember a story about Len Bias. That's what we were taught as a child, to stay, this person was on top of the world. They tried a substance and they didn't live. They need to bring that back, and they need to push that in schools. And parents need to bring that story up. And there's multiple stories now, unfortunately, that are just as bad. I mean, you have children dying every single day because of this. So it's something that awareness.
22 children a week who are 14 years and under is absolutely shocking and devastating. And we're in Colorado, and where they've got a big vaping problem. You hear about all these kids that are vaping. So what you're saying now is that this fentanyl is in pills, it's in vapes, it's all over the place, and these kids may be ingesting it and not even aware that they're ingesting it?
Oh, absolutely. Derek Maltz was on our last fentanyl roundtable, and he taught us a lot within his 90 minutes of being on there. And when he was still at the DEA, they were finding pill presses that would make 30,000 pills an hour. Okay. And per him, 7 out of 10 illegal pills, this is Adderall, this is Vicodin, this is oxycodone, Xanax, anything kids are thinking they're buying, 70% of them have enough fentanyl to kill that person, at least one person. Everything now is being laced with fentanyl. So it's absolutely insanely dangerous for anybody to even take a substance. I mean, I remember I'm in DC a lot, and I'm in Pittsburgh, so it's not that far of a drive. It's about 3 hours. And driving down there last time, I had the worst headache I ever had. So we stopped over and got some food, but we were in an area where there wasn't a drugstore. So I asked the Subway people. We went to Subway, and I specifically said, "Hey, do you guys have? There's a place I can get, Tylenol or something around here just for a headache." And of course, they offered me Tylenol. And knowing what I know, I said, "No, I'm not going to touch that, because that's what can happen. It is that simple, that these pills and these substances that are on the street, 70+% of them are going to contain something." And I'm going to state something that is, I know people have seen graphics to where if you cover the date of a penny with fentanyl powder, pure fentanyl powder, that's 2 milligrams. That's enough to kill pretty much every single person that has a normal body mass index, BMI. But when you have polysubstances, when it's mixed with cocaine, heroin, whatever possible conjunction with fentanyl, literally 3 nanograms can take your life, which is basically 3 grains of fentanyl. So it's so dangerous, and it's so toxic to the system that that's why we created our tests.
So just to be clear, your test, and I know you say your test, if you go to the fentanyltest.com, if that's the correct URL, way cheaper than going to like a drugstore. And you've got 2 different tests. So one where you're actually testing the urine of the person to see if they've ingested it, and another test to see if like the Tylenol has fentanyl in it, correct? I just want to be clear on that.
Yeah, you're 100% correct. The harm reduction was designed specifically for harm reduction is the test strips that test surfaces and substances, but those were designed basically again for law enforcement, but they can be used in the harm reduction community. Every test out there right now, before ours, Clayton, required that drug user who just bought that substance to dump their substance in water. Now, I think common sense shows that people who just spend money on something or they're sick in withdrawal, they're not going to destroy their substance before they use it. So that's why we created something that they can actually test without altering that substance. And also for law enforcement, when they destroy the
Yeah.
substance to test for what it is, they lose the ability to prosecute on the weight that they threw in that water. So we designed that in that realm. And then the probation officers and parole officers right now, they're still not testing for fentanyl. And that's because before our test, you had to send these off the labs, which were $350 to $700, to the taxpayers. And you can get ours now for under $10 if you're government, and you can now start testing your wards in prisons. I mean, prison deaths are up 800% due to fentanyl being, brought into the prison system. And one thing you did say, Clayton, did you know fentanyl is legal to carry in Colorado? Were you aware of that? It's the
No.
only state
What?
you can carry multiple lethal doses on your person in Colorado. It's the only state in our great union that you actually can do that. So it's almost like Canada. Canada also it's legal to carry. So, but yeah, you can carry. I believe it's up to 2 milligrams of fentanyl, and that is enough if it's mixed with other substances that can kill up to 10 people.
It's devastating. I mean, how is this getting to our children? Can you just real quickly kind of walk me through how it's coming across the border through these cartels? And then I also know that there's really a demand for it as well, right? So we've got to stop the demand for it as well as cut off the flow of it.
Yeah, I mean, once you touch fentanyl, if you have a highly addictive personality, which it seems like most individuals do nowadays, you are going to be hooked on that. You're going to go back to that dealer and say, "Hey, can I get another one? Can I get another one of this?" Or more of whatever substance you're doing. But as far as the way things are coming across right now, first and foremost, there are no more creative people than cartel drug dealers and addicts that actually want to get the substance in their body. So they will find a way. But traditionally, this has been coming over either the chemicals to make it in Mexico to bring across the border, or they bring the chemicals and press the pills here. But the cartel doesn't care about killing people. I know that's a question a lot of people have: is why would a dealer want to kill their customer? You want them to come back to you. Cartels don't care, and China wants to supersede everything we're doing here in the U.S. They want our farmland. They want pretty much everything that we have. So it's legitimately a war upon us. But you'll see that's the reason why they're disguising this as Skittles and Smarties and candy to come across the border because they don't care if it gets to kids. I was so concerned last Halloween because I think a lot of people, especially in the cartels in China, really knew that Trump was going to win. So they ramped up their production to get that across the border until he could start doing something until January 20th. So it's unbelievable, Clayton, and this is probably going to scare people, but I think people really need to be scared. There is enough fentanyl here, and this comes from Derek Maltz. It comes from multiple DEA agents and border security. There's enough fentanyl to kill each and every one of us Americans 20 times over here right now.
I mean, I hope this is a wake-up call for people. Maybe it's not as sexy as saying that Iran is about to bomb us, which they're not. But it's a clear and present danger. It's here in the United States. It's already here, and it's killing tens of thousands of Americans already. Like, how much more of a wake-up call do we need? So I hope that this is a wake-up call. And parents out there who want to take advantage of getting these tests so they have them in their home, or people who have struggled with addiction who, are trying to get off of that and want to make sure that they're not also poisoning themselves as they're trying to remove themselves from this painful life. Go over to the fentanyltest.com. Like I said, we're not affiliated in any way. I just want to promote it as much as I can so people can take advantage of this and try to stop this. JC, we appreciate what you've been doing, and thank you for educating us all about this. I learned a lot today. I'm sure our audience did as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Clayton. I really appreciate it.